Thanks for tuning into the channel today. I'm just out here and I like little roadside rest stop here, and I'm just curious to see, first off, how this microphone performs when I'm well away from the bike. So I'm going right out of the way now, you can't see where I am anyway, but I'll work my way around to the other side and we'll go from there. So what's the purpose of today's clip? I want to put together around about 10 or 15 clips of various stoves I purchased to do those ride, camp and cook runs, but I don't think that's going to go ahead in any big hurry because the view rate was pretty low, and I'd like to concentrate now on giving these stoves a bit of a workout. Then we bring them out and I ride a different bike out each time, and you can have a look at the bike too. And I should be coming into view there now, so I don't know, I'd be 50 or 60 feet away from that bike where I am, and I don't know, should be able to pick them up. It'll be interesting to see how things go. This is a really nice little dam just by the side of the road, and we're going to do two things. First, we're going to discuss that bike I come out on, and then I'll bring out one of the stoves and we'll have a bit of a cook over there, or we'll boil a bit of water in it. And the first stove I've got to show you is one I purchased from the USA, and it's called a pillbox stove. Really interesting stove, not cheap, but really interesting. I reckon this would be a good place to come back in the summer along here. I bet you catch a few crayfish in here too, because it looks really deep. So I'd say that side would be really good. So what we'll do is, like I said, I'm just testing the mic to see what it's like over there. Yeah, so while we're at it, I'm going to pick a variety of bikes. So I've got half a dozen bikes to pick from at the moment. 2 of them are 22 models and 4 of them are 23 models. So they're not old stuff. And while I'm at it, I just thought to let you know I've pre-ordered the Triumph 400. So I'm going to buy that street version in red. And I think that'll be an interesting bike. Hard to say, but so far it looks pretty good. But right, like I said, this is a really nice little area there, so I'll be curious to see, one, how the microphone works, and there's a microphone there, and whether it's capable of picking it up over there, which was a fair distance away. So this is actually called a pillbox stove, and I'll show you why. There's the unit there, comes in what you virtually a pillbox. Press her open, you've got 4 fuel cells here, and you've got a titanium wind blocker, which I don't think is much good anyway. So we'll just put the wind blocker aside. Now to set this up, you just put your tabs there on the ground there, they stop the absorption of the fuel, and you can just sit her up like so. This is how quick it is, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this as we get going. So you get to that stage there, bring out the lighter. That's the light now. It lights real quick, see the flame coming up, really firing there. So this is made in the USA, and you can just fire in a bit of water. Put her on like so. Whip the lid on and then let her go. Now it's that simple. Now these come from the USA naturally, and I bought it on a place called Etsy. Let this car go past. Yes, I purchased this from that online place called Etsy, and it worked out to get it to Australia, all up total cost including postage, $69 US, which worked out roughly $100 Australian. So the idea behind it is you get this, naturally a container, that's what I call it, a pillbox. So you got your pillbox there, you get the titanium wind block, which I haven't had much, it's a flimsy looking thing. You get 4 wafers and a base plate there. The idea of the base plate is to stop your fuel from being absorbed into the ground that way. So that stops that side, or helps. Now, what I did do was, I didn't like this fuel container it comes with, because when you fill it up with fuel, because you've got to preload it first, the fuel leaks out of that, so it's not much of a purpose. So I got one of my old medicine containers from the bird days, and I just filled it with metho, half full, dropped the 4 tablets into that. Except for the day demo, I just thought I'd show you what it looks like prior to the moving over to that one. But my idea is get a container like this, load it up with what fuel you're going to use, put the 4 tablets in it, and you don't have to wait 5 or 10 minutes for it to charge up before you get out of here. Now, the fire itself works pretty well, throws out a good bit of heat, and burns for probably, on those 4 tablets, around about a good 10 minutes. So enough for you to heat the water up, make a coffee, something to that effect. If you come out and use the wind blocker to get around it, stop the flame from blowing everywhere, well then I think you could do a lot better as far as better than boiling water. Yeah guys, so I'd say with an item like this, for what I said, around $100 Australian, if you got it there and you put a wind blocker on it, you may be able to cook a light meal like a bit of bacon, eggs, stuff like that. It seems to work all right. Water's starting to bubble slightly there now, so I think, you know, they better use a wind blocker, but, you know, whether or not you class it as a gimmick or something like that, the fact is you can come in here and, you know, boil yourself a bit of water, just pull over. And one thing about it, even if you use this one and have it fully charged, it takes up virtually no room, just in your hand like so. But I like my idea better, where I preloaded it into this container, and I'll show you now. I've got the metho like so, and just soak it like that, because as a rule it takes 5 to 10 minutes for it to charge or absorb. I don't know what the product's made out of, because naturally they're not going to tell you everything about their secret, but the fact is it seems to work all right, and you know, it lives up to its name. Comes in a pill bottle. It's got that little useless titanium. You know, what can you do with that? Not much. Waste of time, that one. But it does surprise you what it'll do and what it won't. So I think, and also I don't think he recommends using metho as a fuel. Over in America they use some other stuff, the zeet or something to that effect. And it's supposedly a lot better fuel as far as heat output goes. But I only use metho because I can buy it for $6 a litre. So we'll have a bit of a check-up. You can see now it's starting to partly bubble in there. If you boil your water and it gets too hot, then you're going to have to wait for it to cool down. It takes a fair while in the plastic cup. So, you know, sometimes that's really you know, virtually a waste of time doing it. I'll just do a bit of a pan around this small dam I've got right next to the road. Now, what do you think of that? That looks really nice, doesn't it? This would be a good place to come one time, put a tent up and you could camp here overnight. Wouldn't be too bad at all. But overall, looks the part there. Pretty happy with this sort of spot here. The only thing you're not happy with, as usual, I might just show you how much rubbish people come here in Australia and toss everywhere. So we start the rubbish off here. It's a pity too, because it's such a really nice little spot. But you come down to this part here, you got all this rubbish here, including the lawnmower. You got a bed over there. So, you know, it just makes you wonder why on earth they come in here and do it. And it's pretty bad. It's pity when they catch them, or they don't catch them. I'd like to see them cut the tyres off their car and let them walk home. So apart from that, look at that. What a nice run of stepping stones here. I might take a few photos before I leave and you can have a bit of a look at that side. But apart from that, I'm on, like I said, the CB125F. So I've got half a dozen rides, like I mentioned earlier. I'm on the CB125F today, which is running really well. So we got that one. And what can I tell you about? $3,600 right away, no more to pay. Far superior bike than the CB125E, which is only a carby job. This is fuel injected and runs along all right at 80-90 kilometres an hour. So it does that job pretty well. We'll just see what's happening here now. It's you can see the flame. Now the other thing I wouldn't mind trying with this, we'll get back to the stove for a second. I put 4 tent pegs in the ground and then built my stove up. I think I'd like to see how this would perform, not sitting on those wafer blocks there. Just see how it would perform as far as boiling or cooking that way. And for example, if compared to it there now, if it was sitting up about that high compared to right on. Plus you have to be a little bit careful too when you're doing this, because you've got that habit, if you get out here and you're a little bit unsteady with the hands or something, you can put it out. I'll just show you how quick you can put it out. And so all you do is one good blow job and there it is now, totally out after that blow job. So that's one good thing. And another thing I'll bring to your attention, after you do that, you can handle those little wafers in probably 30 seconds or a bit more, minute maximum. And then when that happens, you can get out here and put them back in their container, charge them up, and they're ready to go for next time. So, and that's in real time, see? I'm handling it now. It's a little bit warm, but you know, everything's going all right. So, the only thing when you use a metho, you can't really tell when you light it. So that's a light now. You can hear it, but you can't see it. It's enough to get you burnt, that if you're not careful. So apart from that, that's about all I can tell you about the US-made pill-bottled stove, which, you know, $100 you might class it as a novelty, or you might class it as a waste of money. It's hard to say. But I think as far as the idea coming out here, I'm going to test, like I said, 12 to 15 stoves and ride a different bike out each time. And what I'd probably be doing is bring out one bike and test these 2 stoves that way, and that'll get through them, I think, pretty well close. So apart from that, so you can, but I think that should be good enough for me to do it, because like I said, it's a waste of time, but I'll just blow her out. And it doesn't take much to blow them out either, just one good blow job, like I said, and it's out of the way. Now if you've got a better idea for sort of source of fuel in Australia which would go better, you can always leave it in the comment. I just might make a bit of a copy here now and just see how that side goes. I actually decided to do a bit of a cocoa one today instead of coffee, so